Stephen Benjamin, Senior Advisor to the President and Director of the Office of Public Engagement. Mayor Benjamin.
Hey, thank you so much, Jenny, and thanks to everyone for joining us today for this important briefing on artificial intelligence. Addressing AI has been a top priority for the administration since day one. The president has been very clear that we have an obligation to not only harness the power of AI for good, but also to protect people from its profound potential risks. Today, the administration has taken the most significant action that any government in the world has ever taken on artificial intelligence. President Biden is issuing a landmark executive order to ensure that America leads the way on responsible AI innovation. I'm joined today by two amazing colleagues who will address the administration's work in this space and answer a few questions that you submitted. So first of all, we're going to hear from Dr. Arthi Prabhakar, the Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Arthi?
Thank you so much, Mayor Benjamin. Welcome, everyone. Very much as Steve said, what's happening today is it's a big day for the White House and for the whole country, because today President Biden is signing an executive order that is the biggest action any government anywhere has taken on artificial intelligence. And the president and the vice president have been clear from the beginning. They know that AI is one of the most consequential technologies of our time. And they've told us from the very start that the work that we have to do, we have got to manage its risks so that we can seize its tremendous benefits. And we'll get into the big step forward that this executive order takes in accomplishing that. But I wanted to just start with a little bit of context about how we approached this work. We all know that AI's applications are extremely broad. And if you just look over the last decade, artificial intelligence has already come into many, many different parts of Americans' daily lives. That's happened in ways that are both delightful and troubling, and sometimes both delightful and troubling at the same time. And if you just think about it, AI is behind the fact that you can get directions that route you around traffic. It's part of the diagnosis and the treatment that you get from a doctor. It's part of the yes or the no that you get to your loan application. It's in the price that you pay for a seat on an airplane. All of those are routine uses of AI today. And now the new thing that's come along is generative AI that can produce text and images and video. And people are using this advance in all kinds of surprising ways that we know could disrupt programming and education and law and every creative profession from screenwriting to graphic design. And then if you look ahead, even more change is coming, because in every area of research and development, you'll find AI is opening new horizons. It's part of generating new insights about human behavior patterns. It's part of designing products that enable our industries to outcompete the rest of the world. And it's accelerating our ability to control biology. And what that means is that the implications of AI, bright and dark, these implications are so very broad, and that's why you'll see that the actions that we're taking today are also very broad. Now, the president and the vice president called on us to move with urgency on AI, and that's exactly what we did. In fact, our work started even before the chatbots burst on the scene. Last October, a full year ago, the White House released a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights. And here's why that has been so important in this year that followed it. The Bill of Rights is a statement about what we value as a country: safety, transparency, individual privacy, freedom from discrimination. And if you think about it, we are in choppy waters with this rapidly changing technology, and that means that it's more important than ever that we steer by the light of these fundamental values. And in this AI executive order, you will see actions that are based on these core ideas. This is broad, cohesive, comprehensive action on AI. This is exactly what the president and the vice president set out to do. And before I give it over to Ben to give you some specifics, I have just one request for the people who are on this Zoom, and that is to please stay deeply engaged with our AI work, because as you're seeing right now, it's your perspectives and your expertise that have really mattered in the work that we're doing, that are reflected in the actions that we're taking now. So let me turn it back over to Mayor Benjamin with that.
Arthur, thank you so much, and thank you for your amazing leadership here. I'm going to turn the program over to our friend and colleague, Ben Buchanan, who also has been doing just such an amazing job, serves as White House Special Advisor on Artificial Intelligence and is one of the key architects of the executive order. Ben?
Mayor Benjamin, thank you very much. And Arthi, thank you so much for setting the broader context here and for all the work that the Office of Science and Technology Policy has done over the last couple of years on AI. My goal here is to outline for you some of the provisions of the executive order. We consider this executive order the most significant action any government has ever taken on artificial intelligence. And the president's direction here was to pull every lever. And that's exactly what we did. AI policy is everything, everywhere, all at once. So this touches, as Arthi said, such a broad facet of our society. And as a result, we have an executive order that is both broad and deep. And I want to share some of that with you here today. Turning first to safety and security, one of the key questions in AI governance. President Biden in this executive order directs the most sweeping actions ever taken on AI safety and security. Likely the most significant amongst these is that he invoked the Defense Production Act, a law often used in times of war or in crisis like the COVID pandemic, to compel AI companies to share the results of their red team and safety tests with the US government in advance of the public release of their AI systems, and to notify the US government as they develop those systems. In addition, President Biden directed that Commerce stand up an institute, an effort to develop red team safety test standards that will inform what these companies have to share with the US government. He also directed the Department of Commerce stand up an effort to facilitate the development of watermarking and content provenance standards, watermarking to help Americans know when content is created by AI, and content provenance standards to help Americans know when content is official or legitimate. And down the line, the US government will hopefully pioneer the use of some of these content provenance standards for our own communications to give Americans confidence in what they hear from their government. President Biden was concerned as well with the intersection of AI and other fields, in particular the intersection of AI and biology, where he directed the development of gene synthesis screening standards to manage this risk, and the intersection of AI and cybersecurity, where he built on the work we've already achieved with the AI Cyber Challenge from earlier this summer to help use AI to find and fix vulnerabilities in our most critical software. In addition, the president directed that the Department of Energy and the Department of Homeland Security address the integration of AI into our critical infrastructure, where it poses enormous opportunity, but also raises some concerns. That's a good overview of the safety section. Happy to take questions there when we get to it. I want to turn next to one of the president's other top priorities, which of course is equity and civil rights. We already know that AI systems can pose significant civil rights dangers in areas like healthcare and housing and hiring. In these areas and others, the president directs the development of new standards to manage these risks. For example, he directs the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Agriculture to set high standards for how they use AI systems in the administration of federal benefits. He also directs the civil rights offices throughout the US government to develop best practices for enforcing civil rights laws in the context of AI, and directs the Department of Justice to do the same for the use of AI in all aspects of the criminal justice system, including bail, sentencing, and more. Turning next, the next provision, the executive order, is on innovation and competition. The president believed deeply that we need to have a dynamic, innovative, and competitive AI ecosystem. For this reason, he has tasked the National Science Foundation with beginning a pilot of the National AI Research Resource, a $140 million effort to catalyze AI development in the United States and to ensure that AI is developed by a broad range of institutions, including academics and civil society, not just by several large companies. In addition, the executive order tasks the streamlining of visa rules and other immigration procedures to ensure that the top talent of the world can study, stay, visit, and enter the United States when appropriate to contribute to our broader national AI efforts. Turning next to privacy, the president reiterates his call for bipartisan privacy legislation, and given the importance of AI in this space and the way in which AI can link together disparate forms of personal data and in which personal data can be used to train AI systems. However, the president is not just waiting for Congress to act. In this executive order, he tasks agencies such as the National Science Foundation to catalyze the development of privacy-enhancing technologies, which will help artificial intelligence be developed in a way that is safe, secure, and respectful of Americans' privacy. To enable this to happen quickly, he directs the development of a research coordination network that works across the federal government to carry out these aims. One of the president's other priorities is protecting consumers. Here he encourages the FTC, an independent agency, to use its authorities to protect consumers against fraud and deception. And he directs key agencies such as Health and Human Services to stand up an AI safety review committee to ensure that AI is used appropriately in those sectors. Turning next to workers, this remains a priority for the president throughout all aspects of his administration. He is deeply aware of the way in which AI can transform the workplace and insists that workers have a seat at the table as a technological transition takes place. To guard against potentially inappropriate workplace surveillance, he directs the Department of Labor to set out best practices for workplace surveillance and potentially to condition federal grants on adherence to those best practices. To manage the risks of workplace disruption and labor market disruptions, he tasked the Council of Economic Advisors to prepare a detailed report for him on that matter, and tasked the Department of Labor to develop best practices for job retraining and prepare a report for him on what else needs to be done to manage the risks of workplace and labor market disruptions. Just two more, and then I'll turn it back. The first is one of the most important, which is the government use of AI. The American government has to practice what it preaches when it comes to using AI safely, securely, and ethically. To do this, the Office of Management and Budget will very shortly issue guidance tasked by this executive order to manage AI usage in the United States government. This will build substantially and operationalize a lot of what is contained in the blueprint for the AI Bill of Rights that Arthi just mentioned. In addition, we have launched an AI talent surge. If you go to ai.gov right now, you will see that we've set up a hiring portal for a wide range of job applications and job opportunities for AI talent to join the US government. Lastly, I want to close on a very important aspect of the executive order, which is the international dimension. The president directs the Department of State lead an effort with countries all around the world, bilaterally, multilaterally, in a multi-stakeholder fashion to collaborate on AI governance. Our view is that American leadership in AI does not just mean inventing the technology, but also inventing the governance mechanisms, safety standards, and international agreements that will help all of us use it safely. The president sees enormous possibility in these agreements and with AI to solve some of the most pressing global challenges, from climate change mitigations to protecting critical infrastructure to solving sustainable development challenges. And we've had some success on this front already. Just this morning, the G7 announced the first ever international code of conduct for AI companies, agreed to by all 7 nations. This substantially builds on the voluntary commitments the president secured from 15 leading American AI companies this summer and shows the value of our international engagements. Our International Week will continue this week as the Vice President travels to the United Kingdom to present our vision for AI governance to the world at the UK AI Safety Summit. So, believe it or not, that is a very short summary of what is a long and lengthy executive order. I look forward to your questions on it, and I look forward to engaging more deeply on this subject in the months ahead. Mayor Benjamin, back to you.
Thank you, Ben. That was a short but comprehensive summary. Thank you so much to both of you and Arthi. Ben, I want to pivot real quick to addressing a few of the questions that our participants submitted today. I'll start with you first. How's the administration thinking about the safety risks of AI, especially as it intersects with other threats like cybersecurity or biological concerns?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to go deeper there. This is one of the areas the president has focused on quite a bit and is one of the important technical dimensions to this problem. One of the things that the executive order directs at the intersection of AI and biology is new gene synthesis screening standards in the United States. This guards against the risk that AI could be used to develop new biological materials of concern. And these screening standards will make it such that when someone goes to synthesize genetic material For a client, they have to verify that the sequence, the material itself, does not pose a threat. In addition, the executive order directs that as a condition of federal grant making in the life sciences, grantees use gene synthesis providers that adhere to these high standards. So we are essentially creating a rising tide that lifts all boats throughout the genetic synthesis screening industry, in part to manage the risks at this AI bio intersection. I touched on some of the cyber piece before, but we're building on the work we've already begun there with the AI Cyber Challenge to determine how AI can be used to find and fix software vulnerabilities in our most critical software, including some of the backbone software of the internet and including in our critical infrastructure.
Thank you so much. And Arthi, our second questions to you. We both talked privately and publicly before about the very intentional and aggressive inclusion efforts here, the wonderful insights we've gotten from some of our civil rights leaders. How is the administration working to ensure that AI is not used to formulate discriminatory policies?
Thanks, Steve. This is a central issue. And of course, this president has been clear from day one in office about how incredibly important civil rights are. This is not the first action he's taken by any stretch of the imagination. And in particular, there was a previous executive order that already was focused on combating algorithmic discrimination, which is the core issue here when it comes to AI. So we're building on that work with this executive order. And I just want to step back. Ben mentioned several of the provisions. So I just want to step back and say, I think this is one of the most insidious things that can happen with artificial intelligence. Of course, these are compute systems that are trained on data. And if they are trained on data that reflects prior discriminatory decisions, or if in the patterns that it's discerning, if we're using these systems blindly to make new decisions about employment, about who gets a loan, who gets a mortgage, or most critically of all, about decisions in the criminal justice system, we can't use these technologies blindly. We have to get at a clear understanding that they are fair, that they're not embedding bias. And so the actions that this executive order take, I think, are going to be a very big step forward in getting to this future that we all want, where we get the benefits of the technology without exacerbating these harms that are simply unacceptable.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ben, let me turn back to you. You touched on some of this in your opening about what this means in the international context. A participant, what is your vision for cooperation with allies and partners on artificial intelligence?
Yeah, it's a really important question, and one the president has asked us about quite a bit in our conversations with him. As I mentioned, we have taskings in the executive order for state to lead this effort in multilateral fora. We've seen success at the G7 already. Expect to have a great conversation this week at the UK AI Safety Summit. In addition, I think there's further things that we will do at the United Nations, which is a really vital forum in which to have this conversation with all of the nations in the world and help develop shared standards here. So I think you can look for that to come in the weeks and months ahead. And we've also already had very good conversations with around 25 nations in preparation for today. So we met with that group over the summer as we developed the voluntary commitments. We met with them after the voluntary commitments, and then we met with them as recently as this morning to talk about the executive order and the American vision here. I'm very happy to say we've had really strong interest and positive response from across the international spectrum on this. As I said, we know this is a challenge we have to tackle together, and we're grateful to work with our allies and partners so far, and know that we will continue to do so in the future. It's a really important question.
Thank you so much, Ben. Maybe one, which probably likely be our final question. Arthi, what role can the private sector play shaping guardrails that are responsible and cautious without stifling innovation?
Thanks, Steve. You know, I've spent my whole professional life in science, technology, and innovation, all the way back to when my hair was still black. And that's a lot of years. And I'll tell you, as a technologist, we frequently get enraptured with our inventions. They aren't going to make the contribution to the future that we all are seeking unless these technologies are responsibly developed and responsibly used And that's what this is all about. This is executive action, but it's also building on what the president has called on companies to do to step up to their responsibilities in developing AI responsibly. You may have seen that the president has gotten commitments from 15 leading AI companies to step up to their responsibilities, to do independent testing before their models are released, to work on watermarking to make sure that you'll know when you're seeing a video or an image, whether you're interacting with an AI or whether it's authentic content. These are important steps for companies to take. Now we're adding these important actions from the executive branch, but the purpose for all of this is to have the kind of innovation that allows us to achieve our great aspirations. And I'm really happy we're making progress on that.
Fantastic. You know, I might get one more quick question in. Got a minute or two left. So Ben, I'll throw this one at you. As generative AI is paired with more and more automation, what's being done to make sure that knowledge workers can still work? I know that's a big concern for people. You're on mute, Ben.
I said it's a quick one for the lightning round. Thank you for that. I think we have a couple actions in the executive order that address this this question again regarding the Department of Labor's actions and the Council of Economic Advisors' actions. The president is clear here that technology transformation can be good, and we believe in it, but we believe that workers deserve a seat at the table. And I think this is a through line in his policy. You see it in non-AI policies as it relates to unions and the like, and the right of collective bargaining. And there's no reason it shouldn't apply here as well. So whether it's workplace surveillance or knowledge workers or broader labor market disruptions, we see positive, there can be a positive role at times for AI and new technology. We're not dismissing it all out of hands, but the guiding principle here is that workers should have a say in how the transformation unfolds and what happens in the workplace. So that I think is the through line that guides all of what we do.
Well, on this historic day, I'd be remiss, obviously, not to thank the president and vice president for their leadership, Deputy Chief of Staff Bruce Reed as well. But I'd be remiss, Dr. Prabhakar, Dr. Buchanan, if I didn't tell you I believe that history will treat this period of time well and your work really well. We want to really reiterate the administration's commitment and thank all of our partners on this call, those who contributed to this work, but understanding the real work is yet to be done. And we're going to need everyone's help in making sure that the president's commitment to posterity looms large going forward, making sure we get the far-reaching effort that we all need to make sure that we manage this responsibly. So I'm going to thank everyone for joining us here on this call. Let's go on and let's do some great things together. Thank you, and God bless you.